I know that they were using metal detectors, and I remember seeing images of guys walking through water, and they had these weird handle contraptions, part of which were in the water because they were doing the searching, which I believe was some sort of radar or metal detecting device. I don't remember now that you ask me. If you hadn't asked me, I probably wouldn't be able to do it unprompted, but that's the way it always works.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess I don't have a good theory for either.
I don't either.
No, me neither.
All right.
I think he just went nuts.
Yeah.
So it's a unanimous. It's Family Guy's
It's
fault.
a unanimous UFO.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and give you the important bits that I know everybody likes to hang on for. First off, we do have a website. That website is...
We do?
We do. That website is thinkingsidewayspodcast.com. You can go there and find this in all episodes. There will be some links for from our research for each and every episode.
Of course.
On there, you will also find links to merchandise and stuff like that. We are, of course, obviously on iTunes, and we are also on just about every streaming service that is out there. Mm-hmm. So if you're listening to us on iTunes, subscribe, take the time to leave a comment and a rating.
If you're rating, 5 stars.
We appreciate those. If you're on a streaming service that allows you to do that, like Google Play, I know everybody's using now, but I don't think it does a rating system yet. But if what you're using does, please do so. Now we're on social media. We are on Facebook, where we have the Facebook group and the Facebook page. So like the page, join the group. Lots of fun stuff going on the group. We are on Twitter, where we are Thinking Sideways without the G in the middle. And we are on subreddit, where we are Thinking Sideways.
We have a subreddit?
We have a subreddit. We're on Reddit. We have a subreddit.
We are all over Reddit. We are all over the Reddit. We Reddit everywhere.
We are on the Reddit?
Yes. Yes. Devin is turning red right now.
Yep.
Okay. So if you want to go ahead and get a hold of us, you can do so through Facebook or the Reddit or Twitter, or if you want something that's going to be just directly us, you can always go ahead and send us an email.
Yeah, that works.
Email address is thinkingsidewayspodcast@gmail.com. And last but certainly not least, if you want to help support the show, we appreciate that, and there's a number of different ways to do that. On the right-hand side panel of our website, we have merchandise. So we've got links to both Zazzle and Redbubble, where we have shirts and stickers and phone cases and all kinds of fun stuff. We have a PayPal account, so if you want to do a one-time donation to us, that's awesome.
Ooh,
that's
thank
cool.
you.
And there's a button right there to do it. Or if you want to do it on a recurring basis, you want to support the show, you can do that through Patreon, which is Patreon. So patreon.com/Thinking Sideways. And every time that an episode comes out, you have pledged a certain amount, and that is what you would donate to the show per each of those episodes.
Yeah, just for the weekly shows, not for the shorts.
Yeah, Joe says this all the time. We haven't done a short in forever.
Yeah.
I know.
Almost like a year.
I know.
We should probably do one.
Yeah.
We've been saying
some more
that
shorts,
for a year,
I think
too.
people miss our shorts.
I know. There's so many jokes there. I'm going to leave that alone.
I know.
All right. Well, we are going to go ahead and button this one up, and we'll talk to you next week.
Ta-ta.
I'm ejecting.
Thinking Sideways is not brought to you by North Korea. Instead, it's supported by the generous contributions of people like you, our listeners, on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/Thinking Sideways to learn more.
Thinking Sideways.
I don't understand.
Does not compute.
You never know.
Insufficient data to formulate a reply.
What?
Stories of things we simply don't know the answer to.
Hey, everybody, and welcome again to another episode of Thinking Sideways. I am Steve, of course, as always, joined by...
Devin.
And Joe. And
Well,
Devin and I don't know.
Thanks, Joe.
I think from now on, whenever you say your name, it should be, it's me, Devin with an I.
Devin with an I.
Yeah.
What about the silent U?
Yeah.
That always
That's
throws people off, too.
And the silent P also.
Yeah, there's that part.
Yeah, I just don't like people to know how to spell my name.
Well, once again, we have a mystery for you. This was, of course, a listener suggestion. This was sent in by Ash way long ago.
Ash from
In the
England?
beginning.
Ash from England.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I hope Ash from England is still listening.
Yeah, I hope so too. Hey, Ash.
Ash is still listening.
Yeah, I hope so. Hey, Ash, if you're still listening, send us an email or something.
We're almost through your suggestions. That's
Almost.
a lie. That's a lie.
No. What we're going to talk about today is what caused the crash of South African Airways Flight 295.
I know the answer to that. Gravity.
I guess in a way that's true.
Yeah.
He does have a really good point. All right, so if you want to find our links,
Yeah.
It's just like 50 minutes of silence after this.
yeah,
We'll
You're
play-
welcome.
We'll play music.
really should for April Fools. But no, I found this one on the list. It's been a long time since we've done an airplane mystery, so I decided we should do one.
That's not true. We
Well, it
kind of did an
feels
airplane
like it.
mystery last week.
What did we do last week?
Oh, hell bugs, you're
Yeah,
right.
we kind
yeah.
of.
Oh, that's
But
right.
you know what I did realize also is I'm an idiot. As you two know, I went on vacation and I did all of my research for this prior to going on vacation, which required me to be on an airplane for, 15 hours round trip.
So while you're on that airplane, were you thinking about fires?
I was ignoring things a lot.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
I had to. I finally got it through my head. I was like, wait, this is the same thing you do when you swim in the ocean. There are sharks in the ocean.
Yeah.
There just aren't any sharks there at the moment, so
Yeah.
you're fine.
Well,
I
actually-
too was on an airplane after having done some research for this episode, and I was sitting in the window seat, and I turned to my boyfriend and I said, "Does it make you nervous that there's something in between those window panes? Because there was like a piece of junk in there." And it was like, "How did it get in there? Does it make you nervous?
Yeah.
Makes me nervous." Ugh.
Yeah, you know, I was doing a little research for this and various random Googles to try to find stuff out. And I found all these advisories out there from like the FAA and stuff like that. It's like, oh, you got to go, like this particular one, I was looking into oxygen generators. And it's like, oh, you got to go visually inspect every oxygen generator and every 747 in the entire fleet, visually inspect it.
And we
because-
know that doesn't actually
No.
happen.
Yeah, probably
Yeah.
not, but apparently some defective ones out there. So it's like, and something like a 747 is such a huge, complex machine. So many things to go wrong.
Yeah.
That I
As-
just don't think about it.
As we're
Yeah.
going to talk about in
Yes.
just 1 second.
We are. So let's get back to SAA Flight 295.
Yeah.
This flight, as we've already sort of given away, went down. It went down and it killed all 140 passengers and 19 crew members. And then, of course, because it's a international event when an airplane goes down, there was a giant investigation, which spawned. There was a whole bunch of theories that spawned out before the investigation was even started, and even more that came out after the fact.
That sounds vaguely familiar.
Yes,
It does, doesn't it?
really does. But let's talk about the plane itself.
Yeah.
South African Airways Flight 295 was a Boeing 747-244B Combi. The name of the plane was the Helderberg. Which, I didn't know that.
I don't know that every airline names its airplanes. I don't think they do, but apparently SAA does.
I found out it's actually kind of a common thing, which was surprising to me.
So that was the actual name of the plane.
Yes, that's what they named the plane.
Why didn't they name it Fifi?
Because that's just not cool enough.
Maybe the other ones were. It was already taken.
There's a Fifi and a Fido.
Okay. The registration for the plane was ZS-SAS, serial number 22171.
Okay.
So we are going to start our story on the 27th of November, 1987. The aircraft is in Chiang Kai-shek International Airport, which is in Taipei, Taiwan. The flight was scheduled to go from Taipei to Johannesburg. Johannesburg or Johannesburg? I've heard it both ways.
I think it's Johannesburg, but I'm not 100% sure.
To Johannesburg. So this is a long flight.
Over a long stretch of
Over a
ocean.
long stretch of water. It was expected to make one stop, and that was going to be on the island of Mauritius, which is in the Indian Ocean. It's 500 miles away from Madagascar, which is 800 kilometers.
Yeah.
So everything seems normal. The plane's delayed. They can't take off on schedule. They're delayed an hour and a half because of thunderstorms. While they're held on the tarmac, the local customs decides to run a surprise inspection, check out the cargo.
Now, do you know, was that something they just decided to do a lot on that day, or was this an isolated incident?
I never found anything that said other than it was just, hey, you're here, we might as well check you out just because we can.
Yeah, I think that probably was it, especially since they were just sort of sitting around for an extra hour and a half.
Yeah.
So why not do a little surprise inspection?
Yeah, so I was just wondering if they were, presumably there were other planes that were also delayed for a while.
Yeah,
I think this is just luck of the draw.
It could be luck of the draw. It could actually be because they were South African, and because there was an embargo, they decided, these guys have a motive to smuggle stuff.
That's true.
Yeah, so maybe that was it too. I don't know.
Yeah, it is in. It's 1987. Apartheid is still a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Still not a very popular country, South Africa. So they get checked, and lo and behold, everything that's on the manifest is accounted for. There's nothing out of place. So they're hunky-dory, and they go ahead and tell them that when they're able to leave, they're welcome to leave.
Great.
We should stop here, though, because there is an important bit of this, which is when I described the plane, I had mentioned that it was a 747-244B Combi.
Yeah, what is that?
Combi.
Stands for combination.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, that doesn't actually clarify
No, it doesn't.
anything.
It really doesn't. It's something that some airlines do that can work in their favor, especially in this situation. What it is, so you've got the main deck of a plane, and usually it's full of seats. Mm-hmm. Except that if you're running a route that doesn't normally book an entire plane, this is a great plane to have because it doesn't have seats in the rear portion of the plane, and you can remove or add back seats as you need them, and the bulkhead and the galley move forward and back to screen that off from your passengers. So the Combi, this particular one, could hold anywhere from 6 to 12 pallets.
Okay.
At this time.
In the back?
In the back.
Okay.
Yeah, so, where normally the bathrooms are in the back of the plane, that area.
Okay.
At this time, it had 6 pallets back there.
So a smaller configuration. It's a pretty handy idea. Actually, Boeing made a similar version of the 727 also. Similarly, it was convertible. You could pull out the seats and have cargo instead.
Yep.
It's a great idea.
They're fully adjustable. If you've been on an airplane recently and you look down where your seat attaches, it attaches to a track.
Yep.
So seats are completely movable. Because that's how they've eliminated the knee room.
Yeah.
They
They
don't
just
have to
slide
pay for
them
now.
up. They just push them all up back to back and then pull them about an inch back.
Exactly.
And they're like, that's fine. Yeah, no, that's fine.
You're comfortable.
You're good.
Have you seen some of the new seating? There was a proposed seating arrangement that came out not too long ago, like 6 months ago.
I think we posted this.
That's the one where you're sitting, and then there's a guy that's like half a level up from you, facing you, and your sort of face is in his crotch. He's sitting in you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do know what you're talking about.
We could pack even more people on the planes.
Yeah.
And you have to upgrade to the area that's got 2 more inches, so you can't just go ahead and say, I'll sit on the emergency aisle because I'm a good guy. No, you have to pay for that because the emergency aisle gets more room.
Yeah, actually, on the flight I was just on, simultaneously, it was like 5 times as much to reserve the seats for the emergency row, which is kind of like, why would you do that? Why would you want, okay, whatever.
Really? Really?
And then the tray tables, my phone is actually bigger than the tray, longer. Like I put my phone on it, and it was too deep for the thing. So that's the state of airline travel in America. I suspect everywhere. But
I guess it's been a few years since I caught a flight. The last flight I caught was to Los Angeles, and I was seated on the emergency aisle. They didn't charge me extra. And
they do now.
Wow.
They do now.
When
Certain
did that
airlines.
start?
I guess
Every airline
don't do that.
does. But anyway, we're off track.
Yeah, we're totally off track.
Let's get back to the Combi.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing: is that we're talking about the fact that it's got that area in the rear that they can put cargo, and that's advantageous for slow routes. This route was, and a lot of routes actually for South African Airways were kind of bad at the time because, as we said, it was apartheid. Everybody hated them.
Yeah.
A lot of countries hated them. There was embargoes, and one of the things that countries would do is they would say, hey, you can't fly through our airspace.
Yeah.
So let's give an example. Let's say you're going to go from, what is it? It's Cape Town.
Cape Town.
And you're going to go to London. Now, the simple answer is to fly in a straight line, essentially,
can't quite do that,
to London. But you can't do that. They had to fly over the ocean around the entire continent and then go to England. So it was a huge damper on business.
Yeah. Or
So
if you
these
wanted to, like,
couplings
say,
were good.
yeah, if you wanted to fly from Cape Town to Jerusalem, you had to fly the circle and then like, say, go to maybe Paris, maybe Athens, and then on to Israel, that kind of thing. But yeah, it was definitely a long way around.
Yeah, no, so it was not a good thing, and they actually had 2 of these planes, so this was one of the 2 that they had at the time.
Combis.
Yeah, so
Combis.
they had it in that configuration where there was less seating and there was, you
Correct.
said there were 12 pallets in the back?
6 to 12 is what it was capable of carrying.
And
This
on this
flight
one?
had 6.
Okay.
Flight takes off. Everything appears normal. Really, everything went fine for about the first 9.5 hours.
And how long's the flight, really?
It was, I think it was supposed to take 11 hours to get to
so for
Mauritius.
the majority.
Oh. And then they were going to bounce on from there.
Okay.
So it's a long, long flight.
Yeah, sounds pretty tedious.
The thing that I didn't realize, and I don't know that a lot of people realize, is that planes are constantly checking in at waypoints.
Yeah.
And as they were doing their flight and they were checking in at every waypoint, everything is fine. Right up until about the 9.5 hour mark. At 11:48 p.m. UTC, which is Universal Time Coordinated, which equates to, for Mauritius, it was 3:48 a.m. in the morning, local time. The flight contacted the control tower, and they said that they had smoke on board and that they were descending, per their guidelines, to 14,000 feet.
Okay.
We know this because of the voice data recorder that was on the plane, and of
That
course,
was found eventually.
that was eventually found, yes, and also we have the tapes from the control tower that they were speaking to. In the conversation, the flight requests and is granted full emergency landing status, which means where do you want to land?
Yeah.
Pick your runway.
Yeah.
We'll give it
clear
to you.
Yeah.
And so they did that. Then they asked where they were. And this is a weird thing, is that there's a bit of a mix-up in the communication because the signal wasn't all that great. The audio was pretty poor. But the flight, when asked, said that they were 65 miles.
Yeah.
Now,
Which
the tower...
usually means-
Well, the tower took that to mean they were 65 miles out from the tower. Instead, it turns out what the guys on the plane were saying is that they were 65 miles away from a waypoint, and that waypoint is, we'll pronounce it Xagal.
Zoggle?
Zoggle.
Maybe.
Or Zoggle.
Waypoint Zoggle.
Or Ziggle.
So they had passed that waypoint 65 miles ago, was what it was, or they were 65 miles away from even hitting that waypoint. Do you know?
I'm never quite sure because I
If it's worded this way,
I don't know. All I know is that it turns out they were actually 145 miles away from the actual airport.
Okay.
So they were way farther out to sea than anybody expected them to be.
Which complicated the search and rescue a little bit.
Yeah.
So like I said, they were granted full emergency status.
Yeah.
There's a brief communication, and then communication goes silent 36 minutes after the last word
What was
from
the last
plane.
word? Do you know? Was it?
It wasn't anything mysterious. It was they were having their conversation, and then it just kind of petered off.
Oh, I thought it was the tower had said, okay, so where do you want to land?
No, they confirmed where they wanted to land.
Oh, they did?
I remember that
Okay.
they confirmed which runway they wanted.
Okay.
And then after that, it just kind of dropped. And it didn't, when I read the transcript, it didn't seem as if it cut off in the middle of anything. It just kind of stopped.
So
Got a fire on board.
Yeah, you're going to go deal with that.
I'm going to
probably.
go deal with this other thing that's going
Yeah,
on.
BRB,
Yeah.
I'm going to go deal with this thing. I'll be back.
Well, you read these things. They have the timestamps. I've read other transcripts of these things, and it's not like they're constantly talking. There are long pauses while they're going about doing things like flying the plane, going to the bathroom,
What?
getting a fresh beer, and so yeah, that wasn't they weren't chopped off. But
No.
there was an interesting thing that the pilot said though, which was close the bloody door. And that was
That was because somebody came into the cockpit.
that's what I was assuming. At first I thought, well, is he talking about the door between the passenger compartment and the hold? And then I realized, no, that's way far back. I can't
Yeah.
possibly do that. So it's not an expression of alarm
No.
about the raging inferno.
No, I would think it would. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's my impression that the passenger compartment and the pilot area, cockpit is the word I'm looking for, that they're totally set. Once you close and secure that door, it's like totally separate, isn't it? Like the air systems, everything.
No, not at the time. It wasn't an airtight, super confined.
But it was pretty airtight, right? I mean, it had a seal around it. It may not have been totally airtight, but it wasn't like a door with big gaps around it.
Oxygen and gases would come into the cockpit still, so it wasn't completely sealed off.
But it would
mostly
it
was to stop the smoke. I'm pretty sure from coming in. Open the door. Bunch of black smoke rolls in. Shut the freaking door. I can't see.
That probably
That's what I was.
But yeah, I think the one difference between the main passenger compartment and the cockpit is that you've got your little oxygen mask, the one that drops down overhead, which is good for about 12 minutes, and then those guys have the full-on apparatus, so they can go for a long time.
Which is important.
Oh yeah, obviously they should have the better one.
Oh
yeah,
I
think so.
Yeah, no, they don't need the one where you got to straighten the tube that you see the steward or stewardess doing. Yeah, no, they need something much better.
Oh yeah.
So back to our story here, though. It's 36 minutes after their last contact. The tower alerts, the world. They tell everybody, hey, plane disappeared, lost them. Every country that had ships or aircraft in the area go looking, but of course they're looking 65 miles
not
off.
140.
Right, so it takes 12 hours before the first bits of debris are found. And that debris is oil slicks. There's semi-buoyant things like, I'm guessing, seats or seat cushions.
Those life vests and seat cushions that can be used for flotation devices.
Yeah, I heard
passengers.
There was a life raft or two, and also, those inflatable slides that come down on they found one of those, I think.
Yeah. And 8 bodies.
And 8 bodies, yeah.
And as soon as they found the bodies and they examined them, based on the extent of damage that was done to the bodies, they knew that the plane had gone down and it was catastrophic and all hands were lost.
Well, I mean, wasn't it apparent even before then?
I'm sure that it was, but you know how these things
but
go. This is our final. We can't hold out hope anymore. We know.
Yeah, but it's also weird, right? Because if you find the security, oh my god.
Cockpit?
No, the flotation ramp things. Yeah. If you find those out, right, you can maybe think, well, maybe some people survived and deployed that, or maybe it was so catastrophic that it
tumbled,
like bounced out or whatever.
Or just automatically the slides, for example, automatically deployed.
But so that would be the question, right? Is like based on examining the bodies, you could